Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data NBA Auction Watch for the LeBron James unique card from the 2022-23 season. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined by, just going right down the list here, Alex Hooper, Tilt City FC, Mike Zakarian on Sorare, almost as creative as Andy Black using Black on Sorare, Maxime Hagenbourger, Maxime HG, and here he is, Keith Jamison, Gold Guy 231 for another 1 month and 12 days or whatever it is. We are here today to talk about the King, and we are currently, 26 minutes out. High bid now 6.5-ish ETH, $10,212. The last time most of us were here was for the Giannis unique, which I think we all kind of agree this one will be a little lower. And there are a bunch of reasons for that. I'm going to start with Mike because Mike is kind of our resident expert in terms of potentially valuable and potentially worthless digital National Basketball Association things.
That's so wrong.
We'll see. Mike, do you think this is kind of a very big question that I think is slightly absurd to ask, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you think that there will ever be a more collectible card on Sorare NBA than this one right here?
Wow. No, probably not. I guess from the collectible standpoint, I'm going to push back though. I just don't know how many people are in the Sorare streets for the collectability of it. And listen, that's me pushing why I'm in it it's projecting that onto everybody else. I just think there are other ways to go. If you're in this for collectability, I think there are other ways to go because I just don't know how many people are buying on here for collectability purposes on like the secondary market, right? So I guess I refuse to answer your question, but yeah, this is probably the most collectible LeBron card we'll see on Sorare. I can't imagine like next year where we're like, hell yeah, now I got LeBron at 39. Maybe his last one, you could make an argument like there'll never be another LeBron. But yeah, I guess in terms of collectability, this will probably be the most sought after one.
Yeah, the way that I was kind of looking at it was like it's the year that he broke the scoring record. The last one just kind of has the fact that it's the last one. And this, I mean, I guess this one is like the first one, but it's kind of the first one for everyone. So I don't know how like special that makes it anyway. Well, Maxime, you've been on Sorare like football from very close to the beginning. And have you ever actually, I do know that you tried to buy one card for the collectible aspect of it. Do you think we're at any point where these are actually collectible?
No. The only card I tried to buy for collectibility value was Zidane 10, number 10 out of 100. And it's because I'm French and it was 5 a.m. and I thought like, oh, it's 5 a.m. Probably no one will bid on this card. But obviously Mark from Blackpool did. And he overbid me throughout the night. And I was pissed. I overbid my limit like, I don't know, 10 times or something. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And still ran out of ETH. No, I think like, in terms of collectability, Sorare is kind of like a fake it until you make it, right? It's like no one buys for collectability right now, but if you get like millions of users at the end of like the decade, for example, then those cards will be collectibles. But so anyone buying that narrative, has a lot of trust in the company and Sorare overall.
So
what if it was an action shot?
An action shot or an action pose?
They're calling it shots, Laird. It's calling it shots.
I think they called it action pose shots or something like that. Like when they announced Sorare NBA and they were like, we're going to have action shots, and they showed a few of them like early on, I was like, those are just like the media day poses that they do. And everyone's like, no, because he's like holding the ball like this. And I'm like, yeah, he stood there like this, and then they gave him a ball and he stood there like this. or they had Dame Lillard like go like this.
You know what the problem with this though is like I mean like on its own, yeah, that's cool. It's a different image. I'm glad it's something different. The problem is everyone else being like, this is actually going to be worth 10 ETH now because you know what? His shirt's off in this one, right? Like, and it's like the response to that makes this all nuts. Like, if you're just like, oh, look, a different thumbnail, you're like, yeah, tight. But instead, everyone's like, I don't know. It's the same thing. I keep thinking of, we did this last time, but like the Twitter thread I saw where it was like, dude, once Sorare starts its own streaming service, like this stuff's all gonna moon. It's like, can we just relax and enjoy the thing that we have right now? Like, this is pretty fun. And so I think again, because everybody was asking me about it too, like, dude, the action poses, man, that's gonna be worth a lot, right? I'm like, nah, dude, it's just a different picture. Relax.
I mean, we have different ones in football already. Like they have like kind of these special edition cards that do, I think for the most part, have a premium on them, like price wise, but it's not even 2x. It's probably like 1.1x. And so It's like, is it valuable? Yes. Is it really valuable? Nope. And maybe we get there. We also don't really know how many we're getting of these, right? These poses.
No, but I feel like they waited for LeBron to actually like break the all-time points record, and that would have been great, like to have like a unique with the photo of his shot. And I think his shot has been taken like you have like every angle of this shot over and over again, and I feel like that I would have bought this card, and it would make the card way more attractive to me.
You could have paid one of those million people with their phones out, just throw them $1,000 and throw that on the front.
You could have sent
Phil Knight,
a Sorare employee for the night and say, your job is taking a picture. Maybe it's because like the NBA doesn't allow it, or I don't know what's the real issue, but
I was going to ask.
My guess is it has to be something. My guess it has to be someone with like the cardboard, you know, that all those players they have the shots or Top Shot does. And maybe this is a different license. That was my best guess.
Well, they haven't really done it for any sport yet, and I've always wondered why. Like the cool thing about a lot of baseball cards is, you know, some of the actual images on there, and I don't know if it's just a licensing issue. I don't know if there's like intellectual property or just property rights to photographers or what that looks like. But I've always wondered why we haven't seen anything like that other than the Legends.
Hoop, we have one big one, the Enzo Perez goalie.
I was just about to say that.
Thumbs up, and that's why Laird wants it.
Right. That's a classic.
No, that it actually is, and Sorare owns it right now, and it's so frustrating.
Well, there are three of them.
Sorare owns one, right? Somebody...
Sorare owns one because they were supposed to give it away to a River Plate. Like there was supposed to be some sort of contest from River Plate, and somebody was supposed to win it. And well, we all know how contests go.
Mike will love this. He has no idea who Enzo Perez is, but you will love this.
Was it this season?
I think it's 2020.
So, Mike, to fill you in, Enzo Perez is a midfielder, and during one of River Plate's Copa Libertadores games, their three goalies tested positive for COVID.
Oh, nice.
And so he came in and played goalie and got.
That is great.
And
that's great. I love that.
So we got this. These are Sorare action shots right here. This is it.
And there's like a little bit of an embossment on his face. It looks like just a classic moment.
It's so good.
It's such a great card.
It's so good.
So why are we
doing that? I want to move
to
Argentina just so that I can qualify for the whatever competition that allows me to get this card. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about LeBron. The not weird, but the interesting thing about this card is that like LeBron is still really useful in this game for the most part. Where is he at? Yeah, L10 of 55. So that's not as fun for those of you who want to play him with your Giannis's, and I guess you can play him with Doncic now. But what do we think? 2 to 3 years of utility, which I'm always amazed when people think beyond 2 to 3 months, let alone years in terms of utility. But is there, I mean, it should be up there, right? With like some of the more expensive uniques, not necessarily at the top, but like We saw, what was Anthony Davis? $62,000. He's probably not that high, but then it's LeBron. Like, I don't know where this ends up. And we've seen a decent number of people who tend to go a little higher on these things, like AJ and Bellama, who are the last two. Like, where do we reasonably think this ends up?
Well, I was just going to say, on the heels of the Kimmich unique on football, when we were seeing football in like a really, really tough like transitional market, I think the reality is the unique market is just its own separate thing of a few exclusive guys that are deciding that this card is really important to them. And, you know, like we just saw with the Giannis, like we were all beyond shocked with that price, but it's because two guys got up against each other and were like, I'm not letting the other guy have this, or I really want this no matter the cost. So I think that's the big driver here is, you know, whether it's AJ and Bellama or, you know, I don't know if Max has any money left after the Giannis right now, but I'm sure he does. But, you know, just somebody else throw their hat into the ring for this, and that's where we can get some crazy numbers.
Well, we saw Mark come in. He's the one who owns the AD one. So if you wanted a little Lakers stack, he's there.
I just love LeBron James on there. I see that name pop up every once in a while. It just grabs me.
I was wondering, that's a great point, by the way, that this might just be like a separate market where it's like there's like 12 dudes and they're all kind of vying against each other, right? I was wondering, the LeBron injury seems like a little alarming where he's missed the last 3 games of this foot
back
injury.
Tonight.
Did they say he's back tonight?
Yeah, he's back.
Okay, all right. Then
They said he was sitting out last night. No, I don't disagree with you, but they literally said he's sitting out last night. Alex, as the person that actually covered LeBron, probably should do more light than any of us. But I've always taken him as like he knows his body and knows himself better than anybody. And I'm guessing after all the stress of everything with the scoring title, he just like, I needed a few days.
Probably.
You meant LeBron knew his body, not Alex knew LeBron's body.
I mean, Alex, if we go by Alex's one picture, Alex wanted to know.
I don't know how to respond to that. I will say, like, yes, he knows his body, but I think he is at the point where he's like
old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, this is so foreign to him. Like, this is the first time his body's ever not broken down, but that with that groin injury, was it last year? I think that was the first time he was like, oh God, I got to take some actual time off. And I'm sure they had to force him to, but he's smart enough to know his limits. But I wonder at what point he pushes it too far, because I would imagine he does that.
I thought the one interesting thing about this injury was that normally we don't get other people reporting on it. And there was like a couple of reports that like leaked out. I think Chris Haynes was one. He was just kind of like, oh yeah, this has actually been bothering him for a long time. And this has been a problem. Now, maybe he was just saying like, look at how awesome I am, that I still get the record. Cause that is very on brand for LeBron James. But I just wondered if that like the slowing down, the Lakers who are now like slowly falling out of the play-in game, just like how that would affect, because you're getting this card. I mean, you're getting it for 20 games of LeBron, the rest of the 24 games of LeBron. And then you're getting a 39-year-old. But again, hashtag collectibility. So who knows?
I would think collectability is the only thing that could drive this up. Like, other than the bidding against people. Like, I don't know why anyone would just start battling it out. I mean, we just almost 3x the price and a second there from AJ. Cool. But
Alex, where are your rankings right now? Like, projection wise, where is LeBron at? He's like always in the top 5, no?
Yeah, he's always up there. I got him zeroed out for this week, I think. Still,
nice work.
Well, I mean,
I completely missed that 15th bid come in.
I'm going off a minute.
It's coming. Oh, that's the auto bid. That's the auto bid too.
I have LeBron projected with an 81 point ceiling. If you're going by that, which is 11th highest this week.
No. Okay.
In between Jokic and Booker. Jokic always comes in really low in my rankings, and I just ignore that part.
I guess my point was, though, he's still of all the uniques that we have, he's still a top 5 unique that's going to hit the market. Like just taking all the collectability, all the GOAT conversations out, which all factor in, he's still a top 5 usable card.
Yeah, that's fair. Do we think
we don't have to be?
I was just thinking that like it's dumb to keep harping back to the fact that they don't have the action shots, but I don't think anything would have changed the thought about Sorare being collectibles more than LeBron record-breaking photo on the card.
So you guys have been in this for a little bit longer, obviously. Do you guys want it to be that?
We just want to be rich, man.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, like, well, I didn't know if you like really want it to be that, or you're just like, oh, it'd be cool if it's also that, so that it's worth more than what.
I do more collecting than I should. Like, I really want the first Danny Green Cavs card, and like, I go after things that are like, I don't know. I have a Jan Gomes jersey mint because I covered Jan Gomes and he was really nice. And and I'll never. I did not play him once during the baseball season. So,
but that's also because but you like that, right? Like you're like, oh, this is cool to me, because I do that too. Like where I'll scoop like a Derek White or a Peyton Pritchard. Well, Derek White ended up being the best basketball player of all time this week. But like somebody, because I'm a Celtics fan, I'll like scoop them. But not because I'm like, not only am I a Celtics fan, but Peyton Pritchard jersey mint is probably gonna 12x. Like it's more of like because I want that one. I just. I'm curious though if that like you guys are hoping that this turns into more of a collectible platform, and I'm sure Sorare's hearing this and is like mad at me because they're like it is a collectible platform too, but I just don't know.
I think it has the ability to be, and I kind of like parts of me wish more of it was, but not the driving factor. I will never like empty my wallet for something that's just a collectible, but I definitely make bad decisions based on it because it's fun for me,
right?
And like I was in on Top Shot early, and I love, when you get a cool moment, like it's cool. Like there were a few, I would get like a top 100 mint, and it was just like a dude hitting a wide open 3. And I was like, oh man, I would rather like an awesome dunk. And when I did get those, even if they were like super low mints or high mints, depending on how you look at it, like it still fired me up. So I enjoy that sort of thing, and if that ever made its way onto Sorare cards, I would be really excited about it.
I will say, like when you talk about the action shot, where if LeBron's game winner was on this unique, I think about like the coolest Top Shot moment I feel like I got was that Steph Curry record-breaking 3, and I was like that's one of the few examples where I was just like, oh man, this was like a moment I was excited about. I made sure I was watching the game when it was happening. It was at MSG. Like it checked all the boxes of things that I was like, man, I would love to have that thing. And so I do think you're right. Like if it was LeBron's action shot, I feel like there's only a few of those moments where it would really move the needle for me, but that's definitely one of them.
I think that kind of put that summarizes how like I kind of always viewed Top Shot though, that like the Steph thing was like a moment. Like that's like a moment in time that we want to remember.
Yeah.
And Alex's like 3-pointer from the corner is like something that happened.
Right.
And obviously you can't have like thousands of like important moments every year because like they just don't happen. Like, and that's what makes each moment like special. And you can't necessarily just make a business off of that. But that was kind of like what like pushed me off from Top Shot. And it was just like, oh, these are just kind of like videos of things that happened.
Well, I mean, that is like the whole collectible conversation though, just in general, right? Because in most cases, most of the collectibles are just things that happened outside of like a few that stand the test of time, right? Like I think if all of a sudden they dropped the LeBron finals block, right? Was that on Iguodala, right? Where he comes, like that's a moment where you're like, holy crap. Or like Ja Morant, almost anything Ja Morant does, I guess you could argue is a moment at this point. But yeah, I mean, like there's always going to be some that you don't care about. In the same way, like if you look at Sorare, I mean, and you can just look at everybody tweeting out their rewards, be like, okay, me too, for. But like, there's going to be some of those where you're like, this is, I shouldn't say useless because I'm sure at some point it'll be useful. But similarly, right? Like you could make an argument that who's a good example? I don't know. Jordan Goodwin from the Wizards is a moment from this year. You know what I mean? Like he's not or like a thing that happened this year, not something that you're like, I need, right? So I think there's kind of a parallel there.
I don't think anybody has ever asked if we actually wanted Sorare to turn into a collectible platform. It's really funny. Like the question came out and I was like, how have we never thought about this?
And I think
I feel like we just tend to be like, oh yeah, they're collectible. Sure. Like that's it. But
I think the people that do collect want it to be collectible.
Yeah.
That like the people that form their collections, like, you've seen a few that pop up and they're like, I got all of my favorite teams. What do I get? And it's like, I feel like you did a pod on this, I think on the football side, but like you get the fact that you have your entire team and you get to look at it. Like, Sorare doesn't have to give you something because you collected it. Like you decided that decision,
Right. Quick update here. We're now less than 6 minutes out. Bing Bong pushed us over 30,000. When Moon went above. Looks like a max bid, certainly over 19.3481 ETH. So we're.
I think we can definitely say AJ will be in this one for a decent amount of time.
Well, yeah, he's certainly there now. AJ, I feel like, is actually one who has mentioned the collectability of cards on Sorare, and it's one of those that like he's willing to collect some now, even though nobody else thinks they're collectibles. Like and I feel like that's one of the ways things become collectibles. Like nobody really cares about them, and then all of a sudden, years from now, it's like, oh, that is really cool. Let me go get some of those. But
well, it's like a backdoor cover too, because like you can use it, right? You can use it for all of the tournaments and win all the rewards, and then like, holy crap, it became a collectible. Like that's great. Which is nice that you're not just banking on one thing if you are.
Yeah. So to go back to the Top Shot thing about like Top Shot being more of a collectible, it still feels like most of the stuff that's traded is because of like challenges, as Bing Bong comes in and gets us over 20 ETH, 20.12. So there you go. Oh, here's AJ. Remember when I bought the Beckham unique for 6 ETH? Yeah, that still waiting. That's okay. Like takes time. But it feels like most of the market for Top Shot is just like people buying and selling moments for these challenges, not necessarily like people collecting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I think there's a combo. I think most of the volume, like the day-to-day volume you see, is probably that. But I do think there is a lot of people who are collecting, like they've created these like team discords, these team communities, right? So you're like, oh, I want all the Celtics moments, and then you're like a part of this Celtics community and you do Celtics things, whatever. So I think that is like a smaller version of the collectability of it. And then there are still people chasing like their first moments on the sites or whatever. Like John Morant's first moment is also like a rookie moment, and that was one that I was like really excited about back in the day. I still think that is still a thing. Like I do think people are still going after those, but I mean, it's like anything. There's a lot of moments out there right now. So, and then you see the prices come down. So you're like, wait, why would I, empty my wallet on this when I can either like wait or I can. So I do think most of the day-to-day volume is some of the stuff for challenges or like the smaller moments.
But we're all pretty, well, I don't know. Maxime, do you think that 10 years from now, if we even want to go that far, that like people just look at Top Shot moments much more collectible than Sorare cards?
No. No. To be fairly honest, I never really believed in the Top Shot model for many reasons. The first would be that as Sorare, I don't believe right now in the collectible aspect of Sorare. And so for the same reason, I don't think I should believe in the Top Shot collectible model. But if in 10 years they're still there, still delivering, and people still trusting them, then there will be significant value in the first moments that were issued. But my main concern for Top Shot is how do you make sure that your players or your collectors still buy your moments while they have basically no utility. And I feel like the difference between Top Shot and Sorare is that Top Shot is way more dynamic and is way more attractive in terms of like you get something that is live and that is changing basically. Like the moment you get from LeBron is not the same. The different moments from LeBron are not the same. And I think that's where Sorare has a lot of work to do, is like, how do you make sure that your unique cards are more attractive than your actual limited or rare or super rare cards?
Well, you just make them purple and crop them correctly.
Do you think if this was a misprint, then it would have actually been collectible to anybody?
Oh man,
Yes.
I just remember that conversation from Top Shot where they're like, "That's actually better that they spelled it wrong." Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Is it, if there's only one and it's wrong, is it actually wrong? Because there's no right one to compare it to, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I will
45
say, like,
seconds left. We're at 25 and 2 1,000ths of an E.
here we go.
This max bid feature.
Now up over 26.
Oh, 26. There we go. Bellama and Wen Moon going at it. We're now over $40,000.
Do we think this gets over? Yes, it does.
Is it
Forget
just mirrors the?
That's a classic.
Is it just mirrors the max bid? Is the max bid feature kind of like a weird workaround to not stepping up, like the exact Maxime's shaking his head. You think the same thing as me? Like it costs them money.
No, but I think it's a different strategy. If you like, for example, here Bellama is obviously over 30 because he's overabusing AJ, but it feels like it kind of ruins all the fun of an auction. Like, is he going to bid next? When is he going to bid? And yeah, I feel like I don't like the automatic bidding process, to be honest. Keep it simple on football.
From a content side, it's not nearly as fun.
Well, remember too, Maxime, like when we had like the Mbappe or the Holland, when they had to increase it, it was like a significant. It was like, are you going to do $15,000 more? You know, and now we're incrementing by small bits versus like these huge amounts that next bid would push to. So there's a little bit more strategy with that final number.
There we go.
So AJ comes in with the last second bid and basically exposes that Bellama's previous max bid was 31.15.
Exactly. But AJ's smart too. AJ's just like, I'm just going to keep putting a max bid on here too, because then my next bid above the guy just has to be a small incremental amount more versus an actual true next bid.
I don't know if that like 31.2003. So you're thinking he put that in as a max bid?
But like scroll down more.
Well, I know the previous ones for sure.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if that's like a small hack to, I mean, we are talking about saving thousands of dollars. This might be it.
So So here we are in this moment where AJ is buying us a lot of content because he's always bidding at the last second.
Yep.
And there you go.
And then he gets max bid. See, like,
yeah. But I mean, if you need more ease, that's the way to go, right? Like you need to fill your wallet. You just bid at the last second, and you wait for that transaction to come in.
Someone's got to drop the 38,008, whatever the scoring record.
Oh, that's great.
Record? Oh, that would be fun. Does that make it more collectible?
Yeah,
because you bought it for.
Because you paid more for it.
AJ, just do it, dude. Just do it.
Hold on, 33 now. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. 6th highest ever, ETH wise.
He did it.
I thought this was gonna go a little lower. I'm surprised to see this get north of. Well, I'm assuming it's gonna get north of 60.
Well, now we're at 37.7. So now we've just got Durant, Morant, AD, and Giannis.
Get it above AD.
Yeah.
How much? Question for you guys: how much worse does this make the Giannis price look?
I don't know, because I think Giannis is like such a better play. I didn't think these should have even been close. So this is making me feel better. I think I would have been upset if this gets. Well, I should shut up. Just
AJ did it. 38,888.
There you go,
go.
AJ.
And then he gets Then he gets True next bid.
That's just next bid. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. The scary thing, if you're spending this much money, and theoretically the max bid should help you in this case, but you're like trusting Sorare that it works, and that would worry me, having to like rely on somebody else's technology when I'm trying to spend $60,000.
What was John?
No, he's now above John Moran.
Good. I don't know why.
What did I say? AD was 48.888.
Wow, here we go.
Now we're at $69,000.
Wow.
I would say that AD is a more valuable card than LeBron.
It's your time, Mike.
And yeah, get out of here, Ghost.
We've waited long enough. What did you say, Alex? You think this one's what?
I think AD is a more valuable card than LeBron. At this
Is
point,
that just for L10 reasons, though?
longevity.
For AD?
What?
You're going to get 40 games for more years out of AD than you're going to get 40 games out of LeBron for 2 more.
That's fair. So it looks like it's just these two. Nobody else is playing here. And
It's
Bellamont
over.
not going.
You think it's over? Maxime's calling it over. Let's see if he's right.
I think so.
Congratulations,
Thanks.
AJ.
Way to go, AJ.
69K. There you go. Wow.
Here, I have
So-
to drop off. I'm going to listen to you guys, though.
Yeah. So Giannis, AD, and LeBron James. So the top 3 auctions now.
Wow.
There he is. Boy, that was convenient. Just filtering again. Whoever built this site, well done.
A+.
So I don't know how I feel about AD being more than LeBron.
I think the timing, though, right? Isn't that when AD was just doing 40 and 20
Yeah.
every night, and then we forgot that he like soft tissue?
He's on a 39 L10 at that point, I think, too.
Yeah.
Putting up 70s. Like, you could have made a lot of that. You could have made that difference back in the next 4 game weeks, the way he was going.
Right.
I do think this is what the haters will say, though. The haters will screenshot this and they'll be like, "How's this a collectible platform when Anthony Davis is going for more than Giannis?" Or I mean, for more than LeBron and stuff. I'm already envisioning the tweets right now, mostly from Top Shot people.
Is it fair?
No,
Is it unfair?
This is why I think, and this kind of goes back to Maxime, where you were saying about the Top Shot and Sorare collectability things. I actually think if this whole space continues, right? Like if we're betting on this space continuing, I do think Top Shot can be seen as the collectible version of this, if only because they market themselves as the collectible. And I would argue that Sorare doesn't market itself as the collectible. Like I really do. I mean, outside of AJ, who but is like out there who wanted to get the LeBron for that purpose. I just don't know if that is how it's being. And maybe it is. Like maybe just on the NBA side, it hasn't been marketed that way, and maybe it has been on the football side. But I feel like Top Shot is like, hey, this is the future of collectibility, and Sorare is just like, here's DFS, but instead of entering the tournaments, like pay to enter the tournaments, you pay to enter with your cards. And so that's the only reason. And not to say that Sorare couldn't be the collectibility as well, but if I had to like plant the flag, I'll plant it where my bags are, I guess I'd say.
At least that makes sense from your perspective, I guess.
Yeah,
But no, I mean, I guess like I feel like I'm not too familiar with the Top Shot world, but I feel like there are way more moments that there are Sorare cards. And so it's a bit more scarce on Sorare. So that's why also unique cards are probably way more expensive than some moments on Top Shot.
Absolutely.
But I guess like again, Sorare needs to do a better job at like branding their cards a bit differently. Action poses are a first step, but obviously you want to see your players in action, and such a legendary moment for LeBron needs a card, at least a rare card. I don't know, or a super rare card, but they need to do that, I think.
I do think you're right. The unique conversation is different. You are right, because it's like a one of one, and that is something that Top Shot does. Oh, I guess they have, but like it's just like nobody can see it. So I do think you're right in that aspect, that the uniques really do make it different.
And also, I feel like there are, and that's basically the same for Top Shot, but there is a lot of potential with experiences you could unlock by owning like several unique cards for down the road. If I own like at least one unique card from the Bucks, for example, I should probably be a season ticket holder, right, or something like that. And I feel like the more Sorare grows and the more Sorare becomes reputable in the US, you will see a lot of added value by owning Sorare cards, because it will unlock like experiences that you can't unlock anywhere else.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, sorry.
Well, I was going to say on that, AJ now gets 2 NBA tickets. I believe that was part of
That's
the.
true.
Worth it.
I remember when the announcement came
And a
out.
jersey,
like,
I think.
It was like 2 tickets, and when I read it, like my mind just like finished the sentence before I read it, and I was like, "Wow, you get like 2 Lakers season tickets! Like that's amazing!" And I'm like, "Oh, it's literally 1 game, 2 tickets for $69,000."
That LeBron will probably sit if you go to a Lakers.
$69,000 actually puts him above AD in terms of dollars. For those of you who who still use those. Anyway. Sorry, Mike. What were you saying?
Oh, I forget what we just. Oh, I was just gonna say that Top Shot does something similar in the sense that if you are, if you like they did it with Klay Thompson, I think if you owned like the most Klay Thompsons, you get to go out for this like very personal experience with him. And they did something similar with Magic Johnson when they did the Magic Johnson anthology drop, where it was like a meet and greet with Magic. So, which it's funny because it only affects like 0.04% of the entire community, but it looks like this banner wide thing, right? Which I think is something they should be doing with those unique holders as well. Because I think that just looks good. It looks good. It gets people in real life doing stuff. And you can be like, see, if you're a part of this, maybe you can get to do this too. And even if it only affects like the people who are dropping the most money, which it should, by the way, I think it still looks good.
Yeah, I think the race.
Couldn't agree more.
I think the collectability race is to that utility. Like if you just tie the collectability and the utility together, even if you just keep doing the thing where, if you win this contest, you get this. Mm-hmm. But I think collectability and utility are where you can really tie it together, because what people were saying about Top Shot, and I think what holds true to a degree, was the lack of utility. When I compared that and Sorare, I was always like, well, Sorare has this utility, I can play it in the game. Right. Collectability, if you assign utility to it, like unlocking those sorts of experiences and, large discounts at the NBA store, or even if it's small things, like that's how you boost the collectability. And NBA knows the intrigue in their NFTs. Like MLB, to my knowledge, doesn't have an MLB NFT Twitter account as dormant as the NBA NFT account was for so long. But like they at least recognize the interest, and I think they see if they tie those things together. Like I think that's how you boost it.
I would love an investigation into the NBA NFT Twitter account, by the way. I've tagged them, I've DM'd them, I've tried to get them onto the show. I think it's one of the shadiest things out there on the internet, and I would love. So if you're watching this NBA NFT, they've already been a part of like rugs too, the people who run it. I'm like, what are we doing? What's the NBA doing? Anyway,
I think it's run by Adam Silver directly.
Yeah.
It's right. Where he logs in to check in on all the players and see what they're tweeting.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to go back on it, and Noam brings this up in the chat, that said, I hope Sorare knows who they are. They're a DFS game. No one's on Sorare to collect, so I hope they don't fall into that trap. Mike, I feel like you guys you've said this a bunch, and like on Shot Tank, you guys talk about it, that like Sorare has done a better job than Top Shot in like knowing what they are. They're like a fantasy game, and like Top Shot was like, here are these collectibles, and then like tried a bunch of things, which like I think it's reasonable that they would try certain things to like make the product more attractive. And it just feels like they haven't quite gotten there yet. But it does also feel like Sorare should, at some point, try to like convince us that these are collectible. And like I see that as like just the next step of the whole like own your game.
But
Not everyone can own these, right?
I
like,
think they become a collectible by the game succeeding, right? Like if the game succeeds, the game becomes awesome. They crush what they are good at, right? Like their mission, the whole entire product is built around these cards competing in these games. And if they do a good job with that this becomes the game that you want to play, those cards provide more value. And then that's where like the collectability comes in, my opinion. I think my problem with Top Shot is they were like, this is how you play this game. And then they're like, JK, here's new rules to the game. Here's new rules to the game. It's like all of a sudden, if they were like, hey, you get plus 25 XP on all of your cards if you own every single Lakers card. I mean, what the hell are we doing? Like, why do I have to own freaking Max Christie so I can have my LeBron be worth what it's supposed to be worth? You know what I mean? Unless that was the rules from the beginning. I think that is like my concern. I have like real PTSD of changing the rules. So I think the collectability comes from them doing a very good job at what they've built.
Well, and I made this point to someone the other day too. Like, how many people roundabout entered limited last week? Like,
It was like close to 10,000, right? I think.
Okay.
Around.
So think about how many people play fantasy basketball. Think about how many people play fantasy baseball and fantasy football. Like, if Sorare becomes the, like, I'm not going to Yahoo, ESPN to play just, normal roto fantasy anymore. If this becomes the game, like, how many people, like millions of people, all of a sudden, even like the 5,000 mint limiteds aren't enough. Like, if there's only 5,000 Giannis's and 1 million people are entering, and obviously that's going to multiply over years, but like the scarcity alone, even at the lowest level, does make them collectible. Like, if it's hard to secure a Giannis to play in even the lowest contest, then it's a commodity. And that's where making it the best game and being good at what they are there for, that's where that happens.
Yeah. Also,
I agree.
the other side of the problem would be like if Giannis is too expensive to be bought to play for limited competitions, people will just stop playing the game because they can't actually compete if they don't own the best players. So it's a very difficult position to be in, and it's very tricky to manage your way, satisfying your players, making sure your game is balanced, but also like improve the collectibility aspect. But to me, what they could do, and they've started like very slowly to do it with MLB scouting missions, is okay, so we tell you our game is also about collectibility, then we are going to give you missions to actually collect some cards, and when you actually like complete some missions, then you'll get a very rare card or a special card that is very collectible. And I think like until of course, if the game is very successful, then you want the LeBron James, the first unique of LeBron, because it's going to be the big thing to actually own. But also they can do so much more on like what FIFA does for football is basically that you collect cards that aren't worth anything, and then you get more cards and you feel great because you got a nicer card. And I feel like uniques should not look like super rares, should not look like rares, and should not look like limited. And by that I mean different poses, not different colors.
I think even if you like mark 100 of the limiteds to have the same pose as the unique, I mean, maybe not the unique, but if you like kind of demarcate a certain amount, issue a certain amount with certain pictures, even like, I mean, Ja's got so many jaw-dropping dunks that you could put one on every 10, one every 100 cards that you mint, and like then at least there's some collectability there and stuff like that. That excites me. I don't know.
I mean, I remember I got my first, not my first. I won a a rare Rui right after the trade deadline, and it was like the first one in the Lakers jersey. And again, I'm not like, oh, this is worth more now because he's on the Lakers, but I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
Like
it's fun.
it's just something different. And I totally agree.
I do understand why they do it, but it's funny to me, and we saw it in MLB First, that it's a picture that never existed. Like it's Photoshop. They just changed the jersey.
Yeah.
And it like totally throws me off because I don't know. We're just in football. We're just used to like if guys get transferred and they either wait an entire season until we get the new one. Like there's just never like a new picture. And the fact that it's like literally the same picture but a different jersey is always like really funny to me. The one thing I wanted to go back to is something that we've talked about before, kind of on a few shows, that like if you have to explain why something is collectible, then it's probably not as special as you think it is.
Yeah.
If you're like, no, this is a jersey mint because he got traded and this is the number that he wore with the new team, but I know it's, and the more you talk about it, the less it's important. And I'm starting to feel like that's my worry if Sorare starts to like market these as collectible, because they're like telling us, no, these are collectible. You're going to want these because they're special. I'm like, oh yeah, why? And they're like,
No,
because not that many.
You know why they do that? It's actually very simple. It's first, I think they believe in the narrative, and I don't blame them for that. I think they have a very good narrative in building the next collectible thing, big thing. And with Web3, you own your game. That's very nice. But the fact is, Europe is a very different region when it comes down to fantasy sports, right? It's not very educated to the model. No one plays fantasy sports unless you play like FPL and maybe some free games, right? And regulation is not yet designed for fantasy sports. And so they are not telling you you're playing fantasy sports. They're telling you that you're collecting cards to build your sports club, and you can actually perform with your sports club, with your card, etc. But that's also why they're telling you that. It's like, and it's true, they are selling collectibles and they're selling cards that you have to collect, and you can also play with them. But I think the branding in Europe directly to like the next fantasy sports thing would not have fared well with regulators.
That makes
That's
sense.
fair. And I think this is just me personally, and I have stood on this platform for a long time. I feel like a lot of the marketing in America, what there actually is of it, doesn't focus on the NFT side, because I think, and I could be totally wrong because I'm only exposed to Americans and my Twitter feed on this, but people seem very apprehensive here about NFTs, and I don't see it being marketed as NFTs here. I see it being marketed as fantasy sports, and at least I try to do that.
I mean, you've seen it with NBA Top Shot too. They've kind of stopped saying NFTs in all of their stuff. At least over here, that's been the case. But yeah, I agree. That's a great point, Max. It's like that's a specific American thing that's happening.
I actually got someone to join Sorare this weekend. A friend of mine, like one of the few I've actually been able to convince, despite the fact that I've been like, this is the most fun I've ever had. Like I wake up in the morning and think about Sorare, and I think a lot of people just assume I'm a wacko. But he was like, is it on the blockchain? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I don't really understand that blockchain stuff. I was like, you don't have to. Like, you really don't have to. It's, if you tell people it's on, like, they don't even know that it's just like proof of ownership and all that stuff. And I think that's a hurdle.
Yeah, and actually the last thing that refers to NFTs on their website is ETH, and
Yes.
once they actually remove that hurdle, and because you don't have to know anything about blockchain, but obviously when you get ETH, when you sell cards, you have to figure out how to cash out at some point in time if you want to cash out.
Right, exactly. That was the other thing I had to explain.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't see enough also educational content. Of course, third-party content creators do that, but I feel like the role of ETH and the role of like NFTs are very important for Sorare because, of course, NFTs have like a bad reputation for many reasons, but NFTs are the reason why you can actually play Sorare and you can actually own your game. And I feel it's kind of a shame to actually not talk about it because of the NFT's reputation, while it brings so many advantages to the final user.
Somebody in chat brought up that Kyrie has a different picture for his Mavericks card, which I've been staring at it and I think I agree, but I still can't even really tell. It's like astonishing how similar the faces are.
He's just tilting a little bit. Is that what's happening?
The lighting's a little different, but
the arms are different.
The arms are.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I wonder if they didn't. Well, he's got the undershirt. No, he's wearing the undershirt either. They take. I've been to a million NBA media days or like Cavs media day, and they take 8,000 of these shots. So like they could put a different one on every card. Like, the amount of times you hear the camera snapping. But I wonder if that's not a photoshopped version of a different Brooklyn media day.
Right.
That's funny.
What it's not is an action pose. At least we know that. I also wanted to point out this tweet that just came from Bellama, who was in on this auction, as we know. Bellama has now lost the LeBron auction. He was the second to last on that one, second to last on Giannis, and on AD.
Wow.
A little bit more, Bellama.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are in control of that.
I will say that
always the bridesmaid, but I don't date.
Yeah, I will say that I told Bellama yesterday that I still think this Damian Lillard unique that he got is the biggest steal in the history of Sorare.
Yeah,
at 7.8 ETH. If you can spend roughly 10 grand and get a steal, I think that's what it is.
Do you think Belmont goes wild when Jokic or Luka comes on? Do you think he like unloads a bag? It's like I won't lose again.
Luka's now the second best player on his team.
Oh gosh. No.
I think he's the 2 times Luka and Kyrie have played together. Kyrie has like 1 point after the first quarter, and then I go to sleep and I wake up and Kyrie outscores Luka despite him having like 30 after one. It's a very interesting balance.
I'm excited for that to just blow up.
Did you say the 2 games? They played 2 games. That's the sample we're using here.
I think so. It's just funny that it happened. I mean, for a guy to have 1 point in Sorare after 1 quarter and then end up with 65, I think, in both of those games. Like, I don't know that I've seen it independent of these 2 games that they've played together. It's just kind of a weird situation.
Yeah. Maxime, what do you think about this comment here that the National Series cards are the worst product they've ever introduced? I think it's such a weird thing to say. I feel like they were given out as like a, hey, we made these, go keep them. And so the fact that it's the worst, somebody thinks it's the worst product is kind of silly to me.
I won't say what's the worst product they have actually introduced, but I wouldn't say custom series are the worst. But I think like the idea was great in terms of like how do you kind of reward new users with low utility, non-utility NFTs that they can sell on the market, try to get a bit of cash out of them and use that cash to actually like buy some limiteds and start playing the game. I feel like on the paper, in theory, it works well, but the problem is not a lot of people are buying the collectibility theory right now or narrative, so I don't think like people care that much about those cards, and the only thing that was missing to me was the ability to actually like again get rewards if you complete like the whole friends team, for example, in bronze, in silver, in gold, or in diamond. And I feel like this should be done for every Sorare license team, and you should get rewards if you collect old cards from like all limited. I don't know, for the Mavericks, for example. And unless they do that, I don't think like they have any chance of like convincing people they're doing collectibles.
I think I got some achievement coins for getting all the USA cards. I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah, and you bought a banner with that, right?
I did not actually. I haven't yet. Saving my coins for a rainy day, I think. When I can use my SO coins to buy actual cards, that's when I'll do it. There was a comment and then I lost where I was going with all of that. Somebody asked what our favorite misprint NBA cards were. I didn't even know there were any. But I did share some of the misprint football cards in the Team Hold Discord recently. And honestly, those are some of the most fun cards on the platform. Somebody referred to the Mudryk one that like is literally no picture as his ghost from Kiev. And I was like, it's the funniest thing I've heard in a long time.
Excellent.
And at some point there was so many misprints that like a lot of players were actually buying misprints way higher value than other cards, but there was so many that
there was too many of them,
losing losing value.
There wasn't enough scarcity in the errors,
right?
Yeah.
But like literally there were too many. It was like one came out and everyone's like, oh, let me rush to get that. And then there were like 20 more that day. And you were just like, oh, this doesn't feel as fun anymore. Let's see. I'm trying to go through the chat here to see if there was anything we didn't touch on. But I don't think so. Unless we want to talk about what the Wembanyama unique goes for next year.
Folks are always bringing up MLB at the end of the show, and I can't rant about it. I'm ready.
And what about I don't know if you guys are like more familiar than me on like NCAA like I don't know, intellectual property, but like I would love to see, for example, rookie cards for like the last year of I don't know in college. And I think like also that would be not necessarily like SO5 eligible card, but like more a collectible card, like that was the end of his college career. I bought this card, and that would make sense also. I think they can go so much further on the basketball side of things with the NCAA.
Yeah, they changed the rules recently about players getting paid for their name, image, likeness, NIL. There we go. And so I have no idea like what the rule, if there are even rules.
I'm sure the teams would like to supplement some of the income they lost to these players.
Schools would surely sign up.
Yeah, the licenses, so you can actually use the institutions.
Right.
So you can print them on some NFTs. Surprised they haven't already. They usually have their hands in every pot far before it gets popular.
I'll be curious if they do that. I actually kind of hope they don't, only because I feel like that muddies the water a little bit with the rookie, right? I always thought about that. I forget what platform it was, came out with some college stuff. And I was like, is a college moment or card or whatever ever worth more than a rookie card or moment? If you're thinking about the collectibility aspect of it all, right? Like is Michael Jordan's North Carolina card, if there was one, would that be worth more than his rookie card with the Bulls?
I feel like Kemba Walker's UConn card that year, he went nuts in the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, so if their NBA career sucked, then their college card would be worth a lot.
At least if they like had a memorable run in their college, not like, an Anthony Davis Kentucky would be like cool. I mean, he won the championship, but like I don't think of him.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like
money on Villanova cards.
But again, I feel like rookie cards have no collectible value at all unless it's a unique card. Because like super rares are like there are 100 super rare every season. Why would you buy? Or maybe the jersey card or the one or the first edition, but why would you buy like a random serial number for like a rookie season of whatever player? I don't buy that narrative. Maybe I'm probably wrong on this, but like I just don't buy it.
People here love it. It's a long-standing thing. Yeah.
I think you're right. But I think
Right.
if you're talking about this eventually being or considered a collectible platform, because then if it's only a collectible platform for the one of ones, the unique cards, I can see that being hard to market as a collectible platform. Like it has to be like trickle down where like some of the others have value as well. So even if it's not an insane amount of value, right? Like the rookie of, I don't know, rookie Wembayama would be worth more than his second year limited card, which would then be worth more than his third year, I guess is what I was saying. But I even though I'm making that argument, I agree with you.
Right. Exactly. I've never understood it, but it has always factored into collectible, like physical cards.
Yeah.
Do we actually think that like a unique rookie card is all that more important? Like, wouldn't it just be the players like unique card anyway? Like, are you really paying a premium for a rookie unique?
No, but when the career is over, I think that's the first card you actually buy if you want to buy a collectible of that player.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
if
the rookie unique, there's going to theoretically be more of that player minted than the non-rookies over time.
Yeah, exactly.
In 20 years.
Is that why we should be scooping up Udonis Haslam's now? Because this could be it.
Hey,
never be more.
He's gonna play forever.
And also that's why LeBron is so expensive to me, because that's probably one of two or one of three cards that would exist on Sorare, one of two or three unique cards that would exist on Sorare. And so I feel like it should be way more expensive than a Ja Morant, for example, because I mean, like you will have like maybe 15 cards of him, while LeBron is like. But again,
you have to wait 15 years for the 15 card. Like,
yeah, but I mean, of course, but yeah. No, I guess. I guess when the career is over, you just look at how much can I get from that card, and I can tell you, like, if you're competing with 14 other cards, it's way more difficult than competing against two others.
That's fair.
True.
Are there any other pantheon all-time NBA guys that are as close to retiring as LeBron? Like KD's got 4 or 5 years, but is there anyone where we're like 38? I can't think of anybody. But like Melo and Wade and all those guys that came in, and they all retired already.
Chris Paul. I could see if like Chris Paul and the Suns win a championship this year, we'll talk about him a little bit more, a little differently, like 10 years from now.
Sure.
I could see.
I mean, he is. Yeah, I'd say he's a pantheon level guy.
Yeah. Right. I mean, everybody, myself included, I was ready to be like second best point guard of all time if he won that ring against the Bucks, and then I immediately was like 10th. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, CP3. You said Melo too, right?
Yeah, he's just not. I don't know that he's officially retired. He's just
around.
Really have to way back. Yeah.
Everyone else is too young. We got years left.
We're in a really nice bit of a renaissance in the NBA. It's pretty cool. There was a while there where like no one who came into the league really interested me, and
it's also that like LeBron and I guess Chris Paul, like playing this much in the NBA at 37 and 38 years old is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So like guys who are like 33 34, you would expect like, oh, we only have like 2 more years. But now those guys are like, maybe they go to 40.
Right.
Like, do we have 8 more years of James Harden?
God, I hope not.
Yeah. He's got stuff to do.
Does he? Places to
not
go.
basketball stuff. He's got stuff.
Right. 2 things here. One from LG. Thank you for joining us, LG. What do you guys make of the end of year promise to make football and MLB more collectible? We touched on the MLB thing a little bit with these off-season challenges. Actually, that's where the first time that I heard people who came from Top Shot and started playing Sorare NBA, and they were like, "Hey, we're doing these like, what did they call them?
Scouting missions?
Scouting missions." And everyone from Top Shot was like, "Please don't do this. Like, you are a really good fantasy game. Please just be a fantasy game." And they're like, no, you just buy the stuff and we'll give you another one. And then it was like, please don't do this. And a few people did it, and they got the completely regular limited card of Aaron Judge or whoever it was.
That was the thing.
And then it was like, wait, this is what we're winning? And they're like, yeah, we're going to do another one. And everyone, I think somebody told me that 13 people did the second one. Was it the Rookie of the Year one? Is that what it was?
Something like that. It was, yeah, like, make it shinier. Like, do literally anything.
Just literally throw a stamp on it. Like, that's all we wanted.
Just write MVP in like Comic Sans, and it would have been like, here it is. You could have bought this, but instead you got these other guys too. Congrats. I'm really just paying for the other guys. Now you have
that's what it was, is that I didn't like, if you had almost all of them, it was probably fine.
Yes.
But if you didn't have that many of them, it was just cheaper to buy the Aaron Judge limited card.
Yeah. Yep. I got thoughts.
So we make nothing of it. I'll put it that way. And the last one I'll touch on, because I realize we've gone a little long here, and I really like this idea, but it's going to go back into the collectible thing, and maybe everyone's going to yell at me. But NBA Legends cards seems really cool. That's all.
I want a Patrick Ewing Magic card. I want Hakeem Olajuwon Raptors card.
You guys, all right. Let me introduce you to NBA Top Shot. You can go get that stuff here. You can't use Patrick Ewing in the So Rare game. Don't bring the historicals over here.
You can't.
No, Mike.
You can actually.
Mike.
Why?
The way that they do Legends in football is whoever the team was of that player in that year of where the card is issued, you get the highest score from that player in that game. So if I had a Patrick Ewing Raptors card, if I play him, I get Siakam's score for the game.
I hate it. I hate it, guys.
That's why I love it. Like, for, I don't know, like, give me a Chris Paul Thunder card. Give me a, I don't know, LeBron Cavs card would make me happy. But the rare ones, like my Andrew Wiggins Cavs jersey. I want those types of legend cards. Those are collectible to me.
Yeah, and the big problem with that gameplay is that you actually don't buy the player for the collectibility aspect or that you like the player. You actually buy it for the utility aspect, and you don't care about the player as long as he plays for a good team right now, and you'll sell it when the team is bad. So yeah. But like, again,
I want to buy Sorry, I was gonna say I want to buy the Dikembe Mutombo Nuggets card like this so that I can get Jokic's point.
Exactly. It affects the scarcity of the cards that are valuable, and now instead you don't need a Jokic, you can get a Dikembe.
Right.
But
if you own
you
Kurt
play
Rambis,
Legends only. But you play Legends only in the Legend division and not in.
Oh, okay. I'm back.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I'm back in.
Yeah.
Bring on the Legends. I'm ready now.
Let me get a John Starks Legends card, and I'll get Jalen Brunson's scores. And my God, I would be the happiest person in the entire Sorare universe. Just let me have it.
I want to play an MJ card and get Jordan Goodwin's score. Yeah. They're about the same, right?
Yeah.
Same output.
Great.
We've officially lost the point. Thank you to everybody for joining us. This was a ton of fun. Congratulations to Wen Moon, $69,834 for the LeBron James unique card for this season. First one, probably not the last, but who knows with LeBron. So congratulations there. Thank you to everyone. If you guys haven't hit the like button on the video, if you could please do that. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Always really helpful with those things for some odd reason that Google makes them important. So if you could do that, that's helpful. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you. And we'll see you maybe if Jokic or Doncic come out soon. We'll be back.
There we go.